The crinkle of wrapping paper cuts through the silence like a knife. My daughter Nora's small hands tremble as she peels back the perfect corners of the gold foil paper. Her face glows with anticipation, brown eyes wide beneath her untamed curls. I lean forward in my chair, watching her careful movements, remembering how I saved tips for 3 months to buy her the red velvet dress she wears. The lid lifts. Nora's smile vanishes. The box is empty. My father Howard stands from his leather recliner, coffee cup in hand. Kids like her don't deserve anything for free. The words slam into me like a physical blow. I sit frozen, watching my 8-year-old daughter stare into that hollow box, her lower lip quivering. The grandfather clock in the corner ticks away seconds that feel like hours. Heat creeps up my neck. Words stick in my throat. 3 months ago, this moment had played out so differently in my mind. I remember counting out crumpled dollar bills on my kitchen table after each shift at the diner, sorting tips into careful piles. Rent, groceries, utilities. A special stack grew slowly in an envelope marked Christmas Fund, hidden behind the coffee filters. $180 saved, one table at a time. "Do you think Grandpa will like my card?" Nora had asked, bent over our coffee table with her colored pencils scattered around her. She'd spent hours drawing each one, tongue poking out in concentration. Pictures of flowers and hearts and stick figure families holding hands. "He'll love it, sweetie." The lie had tasted bitter even then. The dress had been the last piece, cherry red velvet with a white lace collar, found on the clearance rack at Marshall's Place. Nora had twirled in front of the mirror, the skirt floating around her knees. "I look like a Christmas angel." We drove 3 hours through the Kansas winter to reach my childhood home. Snow dusted the barren fields, and Nora pressed her nose against the window, counting grain silos and water towers. Her excitement filled the car with chattering questions about grandparents she'd never met. "Will Grandpa's house have a big Christmas tree? Does Aunt Marlene know how to bake cookies? Do you think they'll hang up my drawings?" Now those same drawings sit untouched on the side table, edges curling in the dry winter air. No one answered the door when we arrived. We stood on the porch for 10 minutes before my sister Marlene finally appeared, phone pressed to her ear, waving us in without a word. Dinner stretched like a rubber band about to snap. The only sounds: forks scraping plates, ice cubes melting in water glasses. My father read the newspaper between bites. Marlene texted under the table. Nora's attempts at conversation dropped into the silence like stones into a deep well. "I got all A's on my report card this year." Nothing. "I can play Jingle Bells on the piano now." Silence. I drew a picture of our whole family. "See the hearts? That means love." Marlene looked up from her phone. "Art's just a hobby, honey. You'll need something real to fall back on." 8 years old, and they're already cutting down her dreams. I stand now, napkin falling from my lap. "Nora, go get your coat." "But Mama." "Now please." She scrambles up, red velvet dress swishing as she runs from the room. I hear her feet on the stairs, heading to the guest room where our bags wait. My hands shake as I gather our things. "Evelyn." My father's voice stops me. "You're being dramatic." I turn to face him. The newspaper crackles as he folds it precisely, establishing dominance through deliberate movement. A trick I remember from childhood. A small voice breaks the standoff. "Mama?" Nora stands in the doorway, coat button crooked, holding her backpack. "I haven't given Grandpa his card yet." My throat tightens. She still wants to give him the card. After everything, her heart stays open. I look at my father, at his impassive face, at the way he won't even meet his granddaughter's eyes. Then at Nora, clutching that homemade card like it might shield her from rejection. The choice stretches before me like a crossroads. Leave now. Protect her from more pain. Or stay. Give them one more chance to see her beautiful heart. "We'll stay tonight," I hear myself say. "But we're leaving first thing tomorrow." Nora's shoulders relax. She pulls the card from her backpack, edges worn from being handled so carefully during our drive. My father turns away, lifting his coffee cup. But I catch the slight tremor in his hand. One night, I pray I'm not making a mistake. Because if they hurt her again, I won't give them another chance. Some prices are too high, even for family. Moonlight spills through the guest room window, casting silver shadows across Nora's sleeping face. I watch her chest rise and fall, counting breaths like I used to when she was a baby. The old house creaks around us, winter wind whistling through poorly sealed windows. Her eyes flutter open. Mama? I'm here, baby. The mattress dips as I sit beside her. She curls into me, small fingers clutching my nightgown. Would life be easier if I was never born? The words punch through my chest. I pull her close, tears streaming down my face onto her curls. Without you, I wouldn't have made it this far. She burrows deeper into my arms. Outside, bare branches scratch against the window pane, a sound that brings me back to winters in this same room. I was 12 the Christmas my mother got sick. Howard worked longer hours at the plant, leaving before sunrise, coming home after dark. Marlene and I learned to fix our own dinners, pack our own lunches. That December, Mother rallied enough to supervise our cookie baking from the kitchen table. Her hands shook too much to help, but her voice guided us through measuring flour and creaming butter. Howard walked in as we pulled the last batch from the oven. He stared at the mess of sprinkles and frosting, at Mother's wan smile, at our flour-dusted faces. "Clean this up," he said, turning away. "Your mother needs rest." She died in February. The cookies stayed in the freezer until Easter, when Marlene finally threw them out. "Mama?" Nora's voice pulls me back. "Are you crying?" "Just remembering." I brush her curls back from her forehead. So much like my mother's hair, wild and untamable. "Want to know a secret? I used to draw pictures for Grandpa too." "You did?" "Every Sunday after church. Dragons and unicorns and entire families of cats. He never hung them up, but I kept drawing anyway. Sometimes I'd slip them under his bedroom door." "Did he like them?" The truth sticks in my throat. I remember finding my drawings in the trash, carefully folded to take up less space. He wasn't very good at showing his feelings back then either. "Like now?" "Like now." Nora sits up, moonlight catching the tear tracks on her cheeks. "After Daddy died, did you ever think about leaving me too?" My heart stops. In those dark days after David's funeral, when grief crushed me into the mattress and Nora's cries echoed through our empty house, I'd considered it. Called an adoption agency even. The packet of papers sat unopened on my desk for 3 days before I burned them in the backyard. "I thought about a lot of things back then," I whisper. "But keeping you was the only choice that made sense." She nods, processing this with the gravity of a much older soul. "Grandpa misses Grandma like you miss Daddy." The simple truth of it steals my breath. Howard's coffee cup this morning, my mother's favorite, the blue one with painted daisies. The untouched piano in the corner, sheet music still open to the hymn she played every Sunday. Her knitting basket beside his recliner, needles stuck in a half-finished baby blanket he never let anyone move. "I think you're right, baby." I smooth her curls again. Sometimes when people lose someone they love, they forget how to love the people they still have. Is that why Aunt Marlene's so mad all the time? A bitter laugh escapes me. Marlene, who stayed. Marlene, who gave up college to help Howard run the house. Marlene, who watched me escape to Kansas City while she shouldered our father's silence alone. Your aunt has her own hurts, I say carefully. Sometimes those hurts make it hard to be happy for other people. Nora slips from my arms, padding to her backpack in the corner. She pulls out her drawing supplies, settling cross-legged on the floor. What are you doing, sweetie? It's late. Making something new. Her pencil moves with quiet purpose across the paper. Something for Grandpa to understand. I watch her work, this daughter of mine who sees through walls we spent decades building. Her small hands craft beauty from broken things, like flowers pushing through sidewalk cracks. When she finally crawls back into bed, the new drawing tucked safely in her folder, I ask, "What did you make?" "A picture of Grandma smiling in heaven," she mumbles, already half asleep. "And a note that says, 'I hope he smiles again too.' I think that's what Grandma would want." I hold her until her breathing deepens, until the moon slides behind clouds and the wind dies down. In the darkness, I imagine my mother watching us. Her granddaughter she never met, her daughter finally home, her husband lost in grief's labyrinth. I wonder if she'd recognize any of us now. Morning arrives with fresh frost on the windows. Howard sits at the kitchen table, coffee cup leaving rings on yesterday's newspaper. Marlene leans against the counter, tapping her phone screen with sharp fingernails. "Sleep well in that creaky old bed?" Her voice drips sugar-coated venom. "Or did the ghost keep you up?" Before I can answer, Nora appears in the doorway. She walks straight to Howard, drawing clutch to her chest. "I made this for you, Grandpa." The paper trembles as she sets it before him. Howard's coffee cup freezes halfway to his lips. I catch a glimpse of angels, clouds, my mother's smile rendered in careful crayon strokes. Below, in Nora's careful printing, "I hope you smile again. I think Grandma would like that." Howard stands so abruptly his chair tips backward. Without a word, he walks out the front door, screen banging behind him. Even Marlene looks startled. Nora's lower lip quivers. I reach for her, but she's already running upstairs. The sound of her footsteps echoes through the house like gunshots. Hours pass. Howard doesn't return. Marlene paces between windows, muttering about the cold. I pack our bags, each folded shirt an admission of defeat. When we finally pull out of the driveway, Nora's silence breaks my heart all over again. The drawing lies abandoned on the kitchen table, a goodbye letter neither of us meant to write. I check the rearview mirror, watching the house shrink behind us. Nora presses her forehead against the window, breath fogging the glass. "I just wanted him to remember how to smile," she whispers. The words follow us down the highway, a truth too heavy for either of us to carry alone. The winter sun streams through our apartment windows, casting long shadows across the faded carpet. I wrap another strand of Christmas lights around a shoebox, tucking the cord beneath a layer of tissue paper. Each decoration goes into storage with careful precision, like boxing up hope for another year. Nora sits cross-legged on the floor, sorting through her drawings. The ones from before our visit to Howard's house go into her special folder. The others, the ones she made that night, she tears into tiny pieces that flutter into the wastebasket. Her face stays neutral, but her fingers tremble. "We don't have to keep anything you don't want to, sweetheart." She nods without looking up. We haven't talked much about that night. Back to our routine. Morning rushes to school, double shifts at the diner, microwave dinners between homework pages. Life shrinks back to its familiar dimensions. The calendar on our refrigerator marks 5 quiet days. No calls, no messages, just the steady rhythm of survival. Wake, work, sleep, repeat. Even misses. Henley next door knows not to ask how our Christmas visit went. She just brings over extra portions of her famous potato soup and pats my hand with grandmotherly understanding. The knock at the door startles us both. "Package for Porter residence," calls the delivery man through the door. I peek through the peephole, brown uniform, clipboard, legitimate-looking ID badge. When I open the door, he hands me a wooden box about the size of a bread loaf, surprisingly heavy for its size. "Careful with that one," he says. Marked fragile. The return address makes my heart skip. My father's house in Kansas. No note attached, just careful bubble wrap and brown paper. "What is it, Mama?" Nora peers around my elbow. I'm not sure. My fingers trace the edges of the box. "Let's open it together." We sit at our small kitchen table, winter light painting squares on the scratched wood surface. The paper crinkles as we unwrap it, neither of us breathing. Last time, Nora opened a gift from her grandfather. But this box has weight. Substance. Something shifts inside when we move it. "You do the honors," I whisper. Nora lifts the lid with trembling fingers. Inside, nestled in velvet, sits a wooden music box. Dark cherry wood polished to a soft gleam, brass hinges catching the light. My throat closes. It's beautiful, Nora breathes. My hands shake as I reach for it. This was your grandmother's. I haven't seen this music box in 20 years. The week after Mom died, it vanished from her bedside table. I'd searched the house for it, certain Howard had thrown it away in his grief. He'd gotten rid of so many of her things, like erasing her memory, could erase the pain. Does it still play? Nora asks. I wind the small brass key on the bottom. The first notes of "You Are My Sunshine" tinkle out exactly as I remember. Mom used to wind it every night before bed, letting the melody fill our rooms while she braided my hair. The same song she hummed while cooking, while gardening, while rocking me through childhood fevers. Tears blur my vision. A small note flutters from inside the lid. Nora picks it up, reading slowly. To the kindest heart I've met, thank you for remembering her. The music plays on, filling our kitchen with memories. I close my eyes, remembering Mom's gentle hands, her quiet laugh, the way she'd slip between Howard's anger and us kids, absorbing the worst of his moods. She'd wind this music box on the darkest nights, letting its song remind us that morning would come. Howard kept it. All these years he kept it. Play it again? Nora asks when the song ends. We sit at the table until sunset, winding and rewinding, letting the melody wash over us. Neither of us mentions the empty Christmas box or that terrible night. This gift speaks louder than words. A week passes. The music box sits on our bookshelf, playing each night before bed. Then another envelope arrives, Howard's careful handwriting on the front. Inside, a single sheet of paper. 5 words that stop my heart. You raised her right. I'm sorry. The paper trembles in my hands. 20 years of silence, of judgment, of cold shoulders and colder words. Now this. That afternoon at the diner, I show the note to Mabel during our break. She's worked these booths longer than I've been alive, dispensing coffee and wisdom in equal measure. Well, would you look at that? She says, smoothing the paper with work-worn hands. Some hearts take longer to thaw than others, sugar. But they do thaw. I don't know what to do with this. I pour more coffee, needing something to do with my hands. After everything. You do what you've always done. Mabel slides the note back across the counter. Take it one day at a time. Let your girl lead the way. She's got more wisdom in her little finger than most folks learn in a lifetime. She's right about Nora. My daughter floats through her days now, humming "You Are My Sunshine" under her breath. Her teacher, Miss Reynolds, pulls me aside at pickup to mention how Nora's been drawing again during art class. She's quite talented, Miss Reynolds says. There's such joy in her work lately. The music box plays each night, its melody stronger than the memory of that empty Christmas gift. Howard's note sits in my bedside drawer, 5 words changing everything and nothing. We still wake, work, study, sleep. But something has shifted, like ice breaking up on a winter river. Mabel brings me an extra slice of pie during my break, her own form of comfort. You know what my mama used to say? The longest road home starts with a single step. I think of Howard's note, his careful handwriting, of Mom's music box surviving all these years in his keeping, of Nora's fingers tracing the wooden patterns each night before bed. What if I'm not ready for that road? I ask. Mabel just smiles, sliding another sugar packet across the counter. Nobody ever is, sugar. That's why we take it one step at a time. The diner's regulars rally around us in their own ways. Old Mr. Jenkins leaves extra tips with a gruff, for the little artist. Mrs. Peterson from the church brings by a bag of hand-me-down art supplies from her granddaughter. Even Tommy, our short-order cook, starts drawing smiley faces in pancake batter when Nora comes in for breakfast. Small kindnesses. Tiny bridges across the gaps grief leaves behind. Each night, I wind the music box. Each morning, I read Howard's note again. 5 words. 20 years. One small melody playing us home. Some hearts take longer to thaw than others. But they do thaw. The song plays on. The phone rings at 6 in the morning. I stare at the unfamiliar number, Kansas area code. My heart pounds against my ribs as I answer. Evelyn. My father's voice scratches through the line like sandpaper. I got your letter. The words I rehearsed for weeks vanish. I grip the kitchen counter, watching dawn creep across the linoleum floor. 3 months since that Christmas disaster. 3 months of silence broken by this call. How's the girl? He clears his throat. Nora? She's fine. The protective instinct rises, getting ready for school. A long pause fills the line. I hear his coffee cup clink against something. Some habits never change. Howard Wilson still drinks his morning coffee black, still reads his paper front to back, still struggles to say what matters. Listen, he inhales sharply. Maybe you could bring her by, just for the afternoon, no overnight. The invitation hangs between us. Through the kitchen doorway, I watch Nora arrange her colored pencils on the coffee table. She hums while she draws, still wearing her Christmas pajamas with the reindeer print. I need to think about it, I say. Right, of course. Another pause. Take your time. The line goes dead before I can respond. Classic Howard Wilson, extending the olive branch but making sure he controls its withdrawal. The phone rings again 20 minutes later. Marlene's name flashes on the screen. What did you say to Dad? Her voice crackles with accusation. He's acting weird, asking about your kid. I sent him a letter. I pour Nora's cereal, phone tucked against my shoulder. That's all. You're manipulating him. Using that child to get back in his good graces. Marlene. He was fine before you showed up at Christmas. We were fine. I set the milk down harder than necessary. Were we? Really? You left us. The old hurt bleeds through her anger. You ran away and left me to deal with everything after Mom died. I had to go. The words come automatically, a defense I've repeated for years. You know why? Whatever, she sniffs. Just don't expect me to play along with your perfect family reunion fantasy. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, remembering the little girl who used to braid my hair and share her Halloween candy. When did we become strangers who wound with words? My phone buzzes with a text. Howard, let me know when you decide. Asterisk. I text back before I can change my mind. Next Saturday, 2 p.m. We'll stay for dinner. Asterisk. His response comes quickly. Asterisk, I'll be here. Asterisk. The week crawls by. I prepare Nora carefully, explaining that Grandpa wants to try again. Her eyes light up, then dim with memory. Will the box be empty this time? No, baby. I smooth her wild curls. And if anyone hurts you again, we leave. No questions asked. She nods solemnly. I made new drawings, better ones. Saturday arrives clear and cold. The familiar drive feels shorter somehow. My hands don't shake on the steering wheel this time. Nora clutches her portfolio of artwork, pointing out the same silos and water towers we passed at Christmas. Howard waits on the front porch. The sight stops me. He never waits outside, never watches for arrivals. But there he stands, hands in his pockets, watching our car pull into the drive. You came. He steps forward as we exit the car, then stops uncertain. We came. I rest my hand on Nora's shoulder. I have coffee on. He glances at Nora. And hot chocolate, if you'd like some. Her small hand slips into mine as we follow him inside. The house smells different. Fresh paint, lemon cleaning solution. The formal living room where the Christmas disaster occurred stays firmly closed. Howard leads us to the kitchen instead. Been doing some organizing. He gestures at the kitchen table, cleared of its usual newspaper fortress. Thought maybe. I thought you might want to show me those drawings you mentioned. Nora looks up at me. I nod slightly. She sets her portfolio on the table, carefully extracting her latest works. Howard pulls out a chair, movement stiff but deliberate. This one's the sunset from our apartment. She points to an explosion of oranges and purples. And this is Mrs. Henley's cat. Good use of color. Howard leans closer. You like art class at school? It's my favorite. But Aunt Marlene says... Never mind what Marlene says. Howard's voice carries an edge I've never heard before. You keep drawing what makes you happy. A door slams upstairs. Marlene's footsteps cross the ceiling, then silence. Howard's jaw tightens, but he keeps his attention on Nora's artwork. Want to see something? He stands abruptly. In my workshop. We follow him through the mudroom to his sacred space. The workshop where no children were ever allowed. The door swings open on well-oiled hinges. Sawdust and varnish scent the air. Howard reaches for a battered cardboard box on a high shelf. Dust clouds puff as he sits at his workbench. Found these while cleaning. He opens the lid. Thought you might want to see them. I peer inside. My breath catches. Drawings from my childhood. Stick figure families. Rainbow houses. Flowers with smiling faces. Each one carefully preserved between sheets of wax paper. You kept them? My voice cracks. All this time? Howard stares at his hands. Kept everything you made. Your sister, too. He swallows hard. Wasn't very good at showing it, but I kept them. Nora stands on tiptoe, examining the old artwork. Mama, you drew flowers just like I do. Yeah, baby. I touch one of the ancient papers gently. I guess I did. Howard clears his throat. Maybe. Maybe we could hang some of these up. The new ones, I mean. If you want. The olive branch extends again. This time, I reach for it with both hands. We'd like that, I say. We like that very much. The June heat shimmers across the gravel driveway as I pull up to my father's house. My hands tighten on the steering wheel, memories of December's disaster flooding back. But the house looks different now. Through the windshield, I spot framed pictures in windows that sat empty for years. The workshop door stands open, sunlight spilling across worn wooden boards. Nora bounces in her seat. Can I show Grandpa my new sketchbook? Let's see how things go first, sweetie. The words catch in my throat as I spot Marlene on the porch, phone nowhere in sight. My sister's arms stay crossed as we approach, but she manages a stiff nod. Dad's in the workshop. Her voice carries an edge, but it's duller than before. The familiar scent of sawdust and varnish wraps around us as we enter the workshop. Howard stands at his workbench, carefully sanding the edge of what looks like a jewelry box. His shoulders tense at our footsteps, but he turns, setting down his tools. Nora. He clears his throat. Would you like to learn how to make something? My daughter's eyes light up. She approaches the workbench slowly, as if afraid sudden movement might shatter this fragile moment. Howard pulls up a wooden stool, showing her how to hold the sandpaper. Like this? Nora's small hands move actively across the wood. That's right. His voice carries a gentleness I've never heard before. Always go with the grain. I lean against the doorframe, watching their hands move side by side. Her mistakes draw patient corrections instead of sharp words. When she sends sawdust flying, he simply brushes it from her hair with careful fingers. The afternoon stretches like pulled taffy, sweet and slow. They craft a small box together, Howard guiding Nora through each step. His patience surprises me, this man who once snapped when I spilled paint on his pristine garage floor. Marlene calls us in for dinner just as they finish the final coat of varnish. The table feels different. Photos I haven't seen in years line the walls. Mom's face smiles down at us from frames that gathered dust in the attic since her death. The silence stretches until Marlene slams down her fork. You're just here for Dad's money. The words slice through the air like a blade. I start to rise, but Howard's voice cuts through first. That's enough, Marlene. My sister's mouth drops open. She stares our father as if he's grown a second head. I keep my voice steady. Money was never what this was about. Family means more than that. Family? Marlene laughs, but it sounds hollow. Since when do you care about family? Since always. The words come out sharper than intended. I just wanted different things for my family than what we had. Nora watches us all with those wise eyes that sometimes make me forget she's only 8. Howard stares into his coffee cup, knuckles white around the handle. I didn't know how to be a grandfather. The words spill from him suddenly, his voice rough. After your mother died, I lost myself. Couldn't figure out how to find my way back. My throat tightens. You didn't even try. No, he sets down his cup. I didn't. That Christmas, that empty box. I thought I was teaching some kind of lesson. But Nora's drawing showed me what I'd become. A man as empty as that box. Tears burn behind my eyes. Years of hurt surface like bubbles in boiling water, every cold shoulder, every criticism, every silence when I needed words. I wanted you to be proud of me. The admission tears free before I can stop it. Just once. Howard stands, chair scraping against linoleum. For a moment, I think he'll walk away again. Instead, his arms wrap around me, awkward but sincere. I can't remember the last time he hugged me. Maybe when Mom died? No. Even then we stood apart, separated by grief we couldn't share. I am proud. His voice cracks. Too damn stubborn to say it before now. Through my tears, I see Nora watching from the doorway, witness to this breaking and mending. Even Marlene's eyes glisten, her phone forgotten beside her plate. The grandfather clock chimes in the corner, the same clock that marked those painful Christmas seconds. But its song sounds different now. Less like a countdown, more like a heartbeat. Some prices are too high, even for family. But sometimes, if you're lucky, the cost of healing turns out to be nothing more than opening your heart to try again. A year changes everything and nothing. The same grandfather clock stands sentinel in the corner, but its ticking no longer fills me with dread. The leather recliner still holds court by the fireplace, but Howard leans forward in it now, arms outstretched toward Nora, who balances on tiptoes to hang a glass angel on the highest branch she can reach. Little more to the left, sunshine. His voice has shed its razor edges. That's the sweet spot. The angel catches the winter light, sending rainbow prisms dancing across Nora's face. She beams at Howard, her curls escaping their red ribbon. Did Grandma really make this one? Christmas of '72, Howard studies the branch. She spent 3 months learning from Mrs. Peterson down at the craft store. Wouldn't let anyone near that kiln until she got it just right. From the kitchen doorway, I watched them. The scent of sugar cookies and coffee wrapping around me like a familiar blanket. Marlene appears at my elbow, flour dusting her sweater. Second batch is ready. She hands me a warm cookie. Remember how Mom used to let us sneak these before dinner? I bite into buttery sweetness. And Dad would pretend not to notice. Until he caught us with half the plate gone. Marlene's laugh holds no bitterness now. Her new apartment key catches the light on her keychain. 3 months of independence after 68 years under this roof. Sometimes you have to step away to find your way back. The empty box from last year sits on the mantel, transformed. Howard fills it throughout the year. Movie ticket stubs from taking Nora to see her first musical, pressed flowers from their garden project, a sketch of the birdhouse they built together. Each item a small bridge across the canyon of lost time. I still remember the day Howard walked into his first therapy session, back straight as his military days, pride warring with desperation. Never thought I'd end up here, he told me afterward, voice rough. Your mother would have been proud of you, Evelyn, standing your ground, showing me how to be better. Nora's voice pulls me back. Mama, look what Grandpa found. She runs to me clutching a wooden box inlaid with mother of pearl. My breath catches. My jewelry box. The one that played You Are My Sunshine when opened until the mechanism broke sometime in my teens. Howard clears his throat. Found someone to fix the music part. Thought, well, she would have wanted you to have this now. My fingers traced the familiar pattern of roses on the lid. The hinges creak softly as I open it, and notes spill out clear and sweet. Marlene's hand finds mine. Tell me about her? Nora asks, pressing close. What was she like at Christmas? We gather in the living room, Howard settling into his recliner, Nora cross-legged at his feet. Stories flow like wine. Mom's infamous fruitcake experiments, her angel collection, how she'd sing carols off-key while wrapping presents late into the night. She wrapped everything in the funny papers, Howard says, his voice softening. Said it was a waste to spend money on paper that just gets torn up. That's why I do that, the words burst from me. I never knew. I thought I just liked the comics. Silence settles, comfortable as an old quilt. Then Marlene disappears upstairs, returning with a large package wrapped in, of course, the Sunday comics. Your turn, Nora. My daughter's hands are steady now as she unwraps the gift. So different from last year's trembling fingers. The paper falls away to reveal a carved wooden art set. Brushes, pencils, and paints nestled in compartments Howard must have shaped himself. Each groove and divot speaks of hours in his workshop, love carved into cedar. I watch Howard's face as Nora opens it. His fingers grip the armrests, knuckles white. Still learning to trust that love given freely will be received the same way. Thank you for seeing me, Grandpa. Nora whispers, reaching for his hand. Simple words that crack something open in all of us. Later, as winter darkness gathers at the windows, Nora sits at Mom's old piano. Her small fingers pick out "You Are My Sunshine" note by careful note. Howard watches, tears tracking silent paths down his weathered cheeks. His hand finds mine, squeeze conveying what words never could. The Christmas tree lights glow soft and steady. Marlene hums along from her perch on the window seat, adding harmony to Nora's melody. Outside, snow begins to fall, each flake carrying its own story of transformation. Sometimes it's not anger that heals a hard heart, but quiet kindness at just the right moment. Like snow settling gentle and persistent, softening the sharpest edges, making something new of what was broken. We're not the family we were. We're becoming something else. Something that honors the past while refusing to be chained to it. Something that knows love isn't a finite resource to be hoarded, but a light that grows brighter with each heart it touches. Nora's song fills the room, imperfect and beautiful. We let it carry us forward into whatever tomorrow brings.